Silence doesn't expose you. It exposes the man you became while you weren't paying attention. And you are about to lose everything you claimed you were protecting. Every time someone challenges you, or questions your decision, or simply misunderstands you, there is a micro collapse. You feel it in your chest, a tightening, a sudden need to fill the silence with the truth. This is not courage. This is a tell. It happens in the car when your partner questions the route. It happens in a meeting when a colleague dismisses your idea. And in that second, you become the emotional lawyer. You start arguing for your own existence, trying to win back the respect you believe you just lost. You tell yourself, a real man defends his honor. A disciplined man clarifies his position. You believe you are fighting for truth, standing your ground, being firm. You believe defense is power. You're standing there, listening to the challenge, and in that moment of high tension, your hands ball slightly into fists, then immediately relax them. It is a biological microsignal of fight, flight, fawn that no one else sees, but your nervous system is screaming, I must justify my existence here. But that defense is a hidden surrender. You are not clarifying your position. You are performing for validation. You are defending not the truth, but your own fragile identity. Because the real truth is this: the moment you feel the need to argue for respect, you have already lost it. The challenge is not in what you say next, but in what you choose not to say. Every man faces this test, and every man fails it silently until he sees the exact moment he gives his power away. We will walk through the 3 silent stages of collapse that reveal you're fighting the wrong war. The greatest illusion of the modern man is this: he believes his goodness must be explained. Every time you arrive 10 minutes late, you rush into a long, polite story about traffic, or the wrong turn you took, or the driver who annoyed you. You tell yourself this is courtesy, but what you're really saying is, please don't think less of me. You're not explaining reality, you're negotiating your character. And you do this everywhere. At home, alone, you type a long paragraph defending yourself to someone who challenged you hours earlier. You rehearse it, delete it, rewrite it, delete it again, then send a single word, noted. You argue with people who aren't even in the room anymore. Be honest for a second. How many hours have you spent defending yourself to someone who wasn't thinking about you in the first place? This is the addiction, not to being right, but to not being wrongly perceived. Somewhere along the way, you learned that silence is dangerous, that if you don't clarify, you will be misunderstood. That being misunderstood equals being judged. And being judged means losing approval, losing peace, losing safety. Your nervous system still hasn't learned the difference between an argument and an attack. So when tension rises, your chest tightens, your hands flex. You feel that strange panic to fill the silence, to restore your image, to fix their perception before it hardens. But here is the brutal truth. The moment you defend yourself, you admit their opinion has power over you. You hand them the leash the instant you argue for your own character. You think defending yourself makes you a good man. In reality, it makes you a dependent one, dependent on someone else's interpretation of your actions, your motives, your worth. Look at the man you respect. Does he explain himself to every misunderstanding? Does he write essays in his head for people who barely know him? Does he panic when someone gets the wrong impression? No. He states the fact. He accepts the perception. and he moves on. His frame is internal. His peace is not up for negotiation. You, on the other hand, chase validation disguised as clarity. You defend, not because the truth needs protecting, but because your identity feels fragile. You fear that if you stop explaining, someone might notice the insecurity you hide behind calmness. That insecurity did not begin with the person challenging you today. It began long before you learned to speak like a man. And until you understand that, you'll keep handing over the leash every day to everyone. The reason you can't handle criticism isn't because you're weak. It's because you're not hearing the person in front of you. You're hearing an older voice, one you haven't confronted in years. That's why a simple comment from your partner, your boss, or even a stranger can send you into a spiral. You're not reacting to the moment. You're reacting to the imprint, the invisible judge, the ghost of authority. Maybe it was a father who never said, "Good job." Maybe it was a home where being wrong meant punishment. Or maybe you grew up believing that mistakes made you unlovable. Whatever formed you still rules you. So when someone challenges you today, your body goes into that old survival pattern. Your jaw tightens, your breath shortens. Your mind starts building a legal case no one asked for. You pace around. You rehearse sentences you'll never use. You replay a 5-minute conversation for 5 hours. You become the emotional lawyer, trying to win an argument that ended yesterday. Pattern break. Tell the truth. How many imaginary conversations have you won this month alone? This is the deeper truth. Your need to be right is not strength. It is a trauma response dressed as logic. You weren't afraid of being wrong. You were afraid of what being wrong meant. That you'd lose approval, affection, safety. So you learned to defend, not to understand, not to grow, but to survive. And that's why every disagreement feels bigger than it is. You're not defending your opinion. You're defending the version of you that once felt small. When you over-explain, you're not protecting yourself. You're submitting. Think of an animal facing a threat. It lowers its posture, exposes its soft spots, communicates. Please don't hurt me. Every time you justify your actions to avoid disapproval, you're doing the same thing. You're trying to make yourself small enough to be acceptable. The grounded man does the opposite. He hears the criticism, lets the first emotional wave hit, and then lets it pass. He doesn't collapse into explanation because he doesn't need the world to validate his intention. He knows this. If someone misunderstands you, let them. Their interpretation is not your responsibility. Your peace does not belong in their hands. You think, if I don't explain, they'll think I don't care. But the truth is, they don't think you don't care. They think you lack frame because you're desperate for them to understand you. And the man who needs to be understood is already beneath the one who doesn't. What if you let the misunderstanding sit there? What if you didn't chase it, fix it, or soften it? What if you allowed the silence to expose who you truly are? That is the split between boy psychology and man psychology. A boy defends himself. A man owns himself. Until you dismantle that invisible courtroom seated in your childhood, you will keep fighting battles that don't matter with people who don't even know they're inside your head. And this becomes especially dangerous when the pressure comes from the feminine. You're not ready for what happens there, but you need to hear it. And the most dangerous place this pattern shows up is with her. Because when the pressure comes from the feminine, your nervous system stops responding to logic. It responds to survival. This isn't about the words she says. It's about the shift in her tone, the cooling in her eyes, the moment her energy pulls back just a few inches. And something ancient inside you panics. She says something simple like, "You forgot the only thing I asked you to do." And instantly, the defense sequence fires. You launch into explanations about your workload, your intentions, your stress, your reasons, not because the mistake is big, but because the distance feels dangerous. Men don't fear criticism from women. They fear disconnection. And disconnection triggers the oldest wound. I might lose her. That's why you rush to justify yourself. You think you are protecting the relationship, but what you are actually signaling is, your approval controls my peace. That is the exact moment respect dies quietly. She isn't testing your memory. She isn't testing your efficiency. She is testing your frame, your ability to stay grounded when her emotions shift. It is the test she never explains. She wants to see whether your center collapses the moment her weather changes, whether you melt into excuses, defenses, justification, or remain still. Because here is the paradox. The more you explain yourself, the less she trusts you. Not your honesty, your stability. A man who owns his mistake with 5 calm words, "You're right, I forgot," communicates more strength than a man who dumps a 2-minute monologue of excuses. Silence in this context isn't surrender. It is sovereignty. It says, my identity is not on trial. My intention is clear to me. Your momentary disappointment will not shake the ground I stand on. When you stop defending yourself in these moments, something shifts. She relaxes. The tension evaporates. Because she finally feels what she was testing for. Your center. The real battle never happens in the argument. It happens later. In the quiet. You walk away. Calm, controlled, composed. On the outside, you won. But inside, the courtroom lights flick on and the trial begins. Your mind becomes a chaotic legal drama. You're the prosecutor, the defendant, the jury, and the judge. And every version of you is losing. Pattern break. Tell the truth. How many Oscar-worthy speeches have you delivered in your head? After the moment already passed. You replay the scene. Not once, not twice, but 27 times. Each time, fixing one more sentence you should have said. You pace the room, scrolling your phone to escape, put it down, and instantly the monologue resumes. I should have said this. They misunderstood me. I need to fix how they see me. This isn't reflection. This is self-torture disguised as strategy. The internal courtroom is the most exhausting place a man can live. You think you're analyzing the situation, but what you're really doing is begging an imaginary jury to approve a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. You draft emails you'll never send. You rehearse conversations no one will ever hear. You practice arguments for a fight that ended yesterday. This is the real leak of masculine energy. Not work, not stress, not responsibilities, but the endless hidden defense of your identity. There are 3 battles this courtroom forces you into, and you lose all 3. First, the relationship replay. You study her tone, her pauses, her micro-expressions, as if decoding a national security threat. You try to craft the perfect explanation that will make her see your good intentions. But all you're doing is handing her the authority to determine your worth. Second, the professional overanalysis. You relive every meeting, every sentence, every moment of silence. You create elaborate fantasies about what your colleagues think of you. You write entire resignation speeches in your head, not because you want to quit, but because you want the imaginary applause for finally explaining yourself correctly. Third, the self-talk courtroom. The worst one. You argue with your past self. You defend your old mistakes as if your future depends on them. You justify why you waited too long, why you weren't stronger, why you didn't become the man you promised to be. You aren't clarifying anything. You're negotiating with a version of you that cannot be changed. This inner courtroom is not wisdom. It is imprisonment. And here is the part most men never realize. Every minute you spend defending yourself is a minute you could have spent becoming yourself. The awakened man understands a brutal truth. The mind will keep generating arguments as long as you keep volunteering to participate. So stop participating. You cannot quiet the courtroom by winning. You quiet it by refusing to attend the trial. Let the prosecutor talk. Let the judge complain. Let the jury whisper. Their voices only have power if you take the stand. Once you step down, once you stop debating the ghost version of you, something shifts. Your chest loosens. Your breath deepens. Your energy returns. And for the first time, you experience a peace that isn't borrowed from someone else's opinion. This is where the man begins to transform, not by fighting harder, but by refusing to argue with his own shadow. And when the courtroom collapses, you finally discover what calm actually feels like. But to hold this new state, you must learn the code of the man who cannot be moved. That's the next step. There is a kind of silence that isn't passive and isn't weak. It is the silence of a man who knows he cannot be moved. This is the code of the unmovable rock. The rock doesn't justify its existence to the wave. The wave can roar, push, accuse, misunderstand. But when it pulls back, the rock is still standing exactly where it stood before. Pattern break moment. You ever notice the rock never writes long text messages? Exactly. You defend yourself because you still hope they'll change their mind about you. You still believe that the perfect explanation will finally make them get it, finally make them treat you the way you deserve. But here's the truth. You don't need them to understand you. You need you to understand you. The shift begins with the 3 A's. 1. Acknowledge the mistake, not the identity. When someone challenges you, pause. Take one breath deeper than the tension. State the reality with zero embroidery. You're right. I missed that. Full stop. Not. I missed that. But you have to understand. The moment you add but, the emotional lawyer walks back into the room. Acknowledgement is strength. Explanation is fear. 2. Accept their judgment without absorbing it. You can't control how they see you. They might judge you unfairly, emotionally, irrationally. Let them. Accept the wave without letting it enter your chest. The rock doesn't panic when the water rises. It simply waits for it to fall. Pattern break. People are allowed to be wrong about you. Let them enjoy the privilege. 3. Act from your frame, not your fear. Fix the issue if it needs fixing. Move on if it doesn't. Do it because it aligns with your standard, not because you're trying to win back approval. A man who acts from fear defends himself first. A man who acts from frame doesn't need to defend at all. When you practice the 3 A's, something subtle happens. The room changes. People speak softer. conflicts dissolve faster. Respect rises without negotiation, because the man who refuses to defend himself is the man who radiates inner authority. He becomes the presence others adjust themselves around. This is the moment you stop performing, stop arguing, stop explaining, and start existing with weight. The rock doesn't win by force. It wins by refusing to move. If you've spent most of your life defending yourself, explaining, clarifying, rehearsing arguments you never needed to fight, this is the moment the trial ends. Because the truth is simple. You were never losing the argument with them. You were losing the quiet war inside your own chest. There is a version of you, calm, grounded, unshakable, who has been waiting behind the noise, waiting for you to stop talking long enough to hear him. Pattern break. Be honest. How many years have you spent fighting to correct someone who forgot the conversation 5 minutes later? The man you swore you'd never become is the one who defends everything: his tone, his intentions, his history, his goodness. He is the man who believes his worth is conditional, one misunderstanding away from collapsing. That man has served his purpose. He kept you safe when you were young, but if you carry him any further, he will cost you the peace you've been searching for. Now you have the code. Let the misunderstandings sit there. Let people have their opinions. Let the waves crash without rushing to fix the water. Your silence is not retreat. It is arrival. When the micro-collapse hits, that sudden tightening in your chest, pause. Breathe once, slowly. Let the urge to justify dissolve before it reaches your tongue. In that moment, you meet the man you were supposed to be. A man who doesn't need a courtroom. A man who doesn't need a jury. A man who doesn't need to be understood to stand firmly in who he is. If this spoke to something you've lived but never named, tap like. It tells the algorithm that men who choose depth still exist. And subscribe if you're done defending a life that no longer fits you. Subscribe if you're ready to rebuild your inner kingdom from silence outward. In the next video, we go deeper into the test men fail every day without realizing it. Once you see it, you won't see yourself the same again.